Hello guys, it's Teenage DC Fan back in another video, and the Deathstroke series on the CW Seed has officially been released. The first episode is out today, and the show is called Deathstroke Knights and Dragons, and so I watched this episode, and I have to say, so far this is a really good show. It's not at all what I expected. I didn't expect it to be a really good show like it is, but a lot happened in this episode too. Like when I was first looking at it before I watched it, it said it was only 38 minutes, so I was like, oh, this will be really quick. But then it seemed like it was like such a long episode, but it wasn't like long in a bad way. It's more like it was long in a good way because like so much happened. Now unfortunately, there aren't any images from the episode online right now, so I have to just use images from the trailer. So not much for background images here, but I mean, think of it as basically a podcast review type thing. But anyway, I'm going to go over everything that happened in the episode and give you my thoughts. So spoilers are ahead, so if you have not seen the episode yet, just head on over to CWC and watch the episode, and then you can find out what happened, and then you can come right back on over here and hear my opinion on everything that happened. Alright, so you have been warned. Spoilers are ahead. So we start off the episode with Slade, and he's in the middle of a call with his wife, and his son is there, and his son wants him to read to him. So Slade gets the book out of his suitcase, and the book's called Knights and Dragons. So I'm guessing that is where the title of the series is from, because maybe it plays a bigger role in the rest of the 11 episodes in this series, or at least season, maybe. So then Joseph, his son, pulls out his copy of the book where he is at their house, and then he starts reading to him, and that's all good. But then later, after the call ends, we see that Deathstroke goes on a mission, because he's a mercenary, so he can go out and he's getting paid to kill people. So that's cool. And then it goes back to at the house where Addie and Joseph are. So Addie, Slade's wife, just put Joseph to sleep, and then she walks out his bedroom door, closes the door, and then there's this dude in a mask and a hood standing there. Then they get into this big fight, because at first this dude thinks that she can't handle herself. So then it turns out she was in the army, so she almost wins, but then this dude takes her out. And then he explains that he is the Jackal. And then he says he wants her son, Joseph, and then he reveals to her that Slade is a mercenary and that he is Deathstroke. Because apparently before that, she didn't know anything about that. She thought he was just a businessman, and that's how he made so much money. But no, turns out he's murdering people for a living, and she didn't know that. So that's not good. Lies in a relationship are never a good thing. So then Slade gets back home. He opens the door. He sees that the whole place is like messed up. So somebody broke in. Something had to have happened. So then he automatically runs up to his son's bedroom, and he sees Addie sitting there on the bed crying, and she's mad at him because the Jackal took Joseph, and it's all Slade's fault. So they have this argument. But then at the end of the argument, Slade decides to go out, and he's going to bring back their son. So he goes to Actually, I have no idea how he knew where to go. but he ends up going to this abandoned warehouse, and that's where he meets up with the Jackal. And the Jackal is part of an organization known as Hive, and that's a thing from the comics. I also know it from the Teen Titans cartoons, so that's cool. And then Jackal wants Deathstroke to join him in the Hive, but of course Deathstroke turns the offer down, because with him, for killing people, there's a line he doesn't cross. Like, he only kills people if there's, a reason that they should be killed, like if they're bad people. But the Hive, they just kill whoever they want for no reason. So of course Deathstroke declines, like I said, and then the Jackal calls in his henchmen, and there's a lady, and then there's this big dude, and it turns out this is Bronze Tiger. So if you watch Arrow, of course you know who Bronze Tiger is. Now that brings me to another topic about the show. I'm not completely sure if this show is actually canon. I think just based on what happens to Bronze Tiger in this episode is what you can use as clues to figure out if this is canon or not, and I'll get into that more later. But then there's this big fight between those three. Deathstroke ends up killing the girl and then chops off Bronze Tiger's arm. So, but I'm pretty sure this is supposed to take place before, like, I don't know where this would even take place. Because you'd think it would be after Season 7 of Arrow, at least. Because that's where Deathstroke is right now. Like, he's off doing something with his family and spending time with his son. But then at the same time, in Season 7 of Arrow, Bronze Tiger was kind of redeemed, and in this series, he's like a full-on villain. So I don't know where this would fit in with the timeline and stuff like that. But anyway, back to the episode. So he defeats them, then he runs up and he stabs a Jackal. He thinks he's dead, but he's not. Dun dun dun. That's right, he's not, but that isn't revealed until later. So, yeah. And then he sees his son, and there's a Hive agent who has a knife ready to slit his son's throat. But then Deathstroke runs up and stabs that dude, and then the camera, like, the first thing, the screen goes black, and then the first thing you see is just a pile of blood on the floor, and then you see it's coming from the Hive agent's head, because he got sliced open like a watermelon. And then you see Deathstroke, or Slade, holding his son in his arms, and turns out that Hive agent did end up slitting Joseph's throat. So you're like, oh no, the dude's dead. But then Deathstroke takes him to the hospital, and no, he's not dead. He's fine. Well, actually, he's not fine because he's deaf now. He can't talk, and he has a big scar over his throat. But he's alive. So, of course, Addie is super mad at Slade, and she's like, get out, you gotta leave. And Slade just ends up agreeing because he can't keep doing this to his son. He doesn't want to make a mistake like that again. So he goes off, and so he's doing missions like he always has been, and he's getting beat up because he's getting older. But he has his healing powers, so even though he's, like, stabbed all over his body and has a bunch of bullet holes in his chest, he's fine. But then this is when he finds out that his son has been kidnapped again. And this time it wasn't by the Jackal, or so he thinks, at least so far. So then he meets up with Addie in the park, and of course she's older, so she has gray hair and grayish hair. She has, like, gray streaks in her hair. And then, so they have this chat, and then basically he ends up going after Joseph. He goes to to, I don't know where it is, but it's basically where Bronze Tiger is, because something I forgot to mention is that after Deathstroke took Joseph to the hospital after he got his throat slit, it showed Bronze Tiger escaping with the Jackal's body. So yeah, but then, like I said, he shows up at wherever Bronze Tiger is, and now Bronze Tiger has a robotic metallic arm because he got his arm chopped off by Deathstroke in the beginning. And then there's this fight. Deathstroke chops off his arm again, the same one, so it's just the robot arm. Doesn't hurt him at all, I don't think. But then he surrenders, tells him where the Hive base is, and then Deathstroke flies off with Wintergreen, which is his friend's code name. I'm basically gonna think of him as Deathstroke's version of Alfred. So yeah. And then as they're flying away, they shoot a missile back at Bronze Tiger and his men, and I don't know what happens. I don't know if they're dead or not, because then that would go back to is this canon or is this not? And if it is canon, where would it take place? Because, like, if this is canon, then this would be Bronze Tiger's death. And we clearly saw that Bronze Tiger was alive in Season 7, but that was when he was redeemed as, like, a hero. So then I guess he just goes back to villainy and being evil, I guess? I don't know. It's kind of confusing, so let me know down in the comments below what you think about all the canon or not canon and timeline and whatever, and Bronze Tiger or whatever. So yeah, back to the episode. So Deathstroke ends up going to the Hive base, and when he shows up at the mountain, he is greeted by Lady Shiva. Now, I don't know if Lady Shiva has been in the Arrowverse before. Maybe on Arrow. I haven't seen the first couple seasons of Arrow yet, so let me know if Lady Shiva's been in the Arrowverse before. Just let me know. But then Deathstroke ends up surrendering. So then Lady Shiva takes him inside to meet the Hive Queen. And the Hive Queen is actually the one that told Deathstroke that his son was kidnapped in the first place, because, well, she was the one that kidnapped him. So then they have this chat, and then the Hive Queen takes off her mask, and she's just a teenage girl with white hair. And as soon as I saw her, I was like, that's Rose Wilson. And if you don't know who that is, I'll explain it a little more later. So then she takes Deathstroke to see his son, and Joseph is like locked up in this containment cell thing, and because it turns out he has powers because of whatever happened with Deathstroke and getting his powers and stuff when he was in the army, this special drug that was tested on him. When he had a kid, that was passed on, but it was different because Joseph, he has mental, psychic powers, kind of. And by the way, there was a 10-year time jump in here that I forgot to mention. After Deathstroke left, when Joseph was in the hospital, I completely forgot to mention that. But yeah, 10-year time jump, that's a long time. So Joseph is kind of grown up now. And as soon as I saw that Joseph had powers, I was like, yep, that's Jericho. And then right after this, when the Hive Queen was explaining to Deathstroke about his son's powers and all that stuff, she said that she was training him to be a weapon for their organization, and that he was no longer known as Joseph, but now he will be called Jericho. So I called it. I knew it. And if you don't know who Jericho is, I mean, that's a thing from the comics. He's Deathstroke's son. He's known for being deaf and having psychic powers. So that's literally what happened here. He can't speak, and he got powers. So, Deathstroke places a bomb on the containment cell, and blows it up, and then he breaks out Joseph, or Jericho. I think I'm just going to start calling him Jericho, but Slade keeps calling him Joseph because, that's his son's name. But then, so they end up escaping, and Jericho helps him escape using his powers and stuff. And then once they get to the outside, Deathstroke is calling for Wintergreen to come get them with the jet or whatever they were using to fly there. And then this is when it was revealed that Jericho was blocking the communication systems. And then he said, "Did you really believe that I would betray my sister like that?" So then this is where we find out that the Hive Queen is Rose Wilson, Jericho's sister, and Deathstroke / Slade's daughter. So apparently he didn't even know that he had a daughter. But he does, and she is the Hive Queen. So that's pretty awesome. So then it turns out that Jericho is evil just like his sister and the rest of the Hive organization. So then he says goodbye, Deathstroke. He doesn't even say father or Slade or anything like that. He just says Deathstroke, as if he means nothing to him anymore. It's like he's been brainwashed and he's lost all his memories, kind of. So then all the Hive agents are lined up there, and they all shoot at Deathstroke, and he just stands there and takes all the bullets because he's in shock. I mean, first of all, his son is evil. Second of all, turns out he has a daughter that he didn't know about, and that daughter that he didn't know about, well, she's evil too. So he's in shock right now, so he just lets it happen. He gets shot all up, and then he falls off the cliff. And that is where the episode ends. That was crazy. Now, even though I knew that Joseph would be Jericho, and I knew that the Hive Queen would be revealed to be Rose Wilson, it was still cool the way that they did it. Because I'm not sure how they did it in the comics. I just know from, the cartoons and stuff like that. So I don't think that's how it happened in the comics, so I like the twist that they did with it, like with Rose Wilson being the Hive Queen and stuff like that, so that was awesome. And I'm interested to see where the story continues from here, how did Deathstroke survive that? I get that he has healing powers, but he looked like he was pretty dead when he was falling off that cliff. And then even if he didn't get shot, just falling from that height and hitting the water there, he'd be dead. Maybe he is dead, and then he'll get taken to a Lazarus pit, and he'll be alive. But if this is canon to the Arrowverse, then Thea destroyed all the Lazarus pits, so I don't know, this is kind of confusing. So if you saw this episode, let me know in the comments below, what did you think about this episode, and what do you hope will happen next? So that's it for this video. Stay tuned for my next episode reviews for this. For the next 11 episodes, I guess they're on Monday nights. I mean, not Monday nights, but just Mondays. Available to stream on the CW Seed. So thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to see you in the next video so I can bestow all my DC knowledge upon you.